Hey everyone, welcome back. Happy Thursday. So today was not that great of a day for Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners. Bitcoin did have a nice wick down, kind of rebounded as well, so that was kind of good. We also had news stories come out from Cleanspark. They're at 30 exahash right now. We'll talk about that. Can they actually get to 40 exahash by the end of the year? I'll give you guys my thoughts on it as well, and then we'll talk about TeraWulf. TeraWulf upped their lease agreement for an additional, I think it's now 35 years, plus they have an option to get to like 45 additional after that, plus more power, more land. We'll talk about it all, give you guys my thoughts on it as well, and then we'll get into the institutions. Have the institutions been buying or selling in the last month of September on the miners? We'll take a look at all that, and we'll get into your guys' Q&A, so it should be easy, as always. You guys know the drill, not financial advice, for entertainment only. Please do your own research, and if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at what's going on here with Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners today. And here's what we have. We had a nice wick down today to like 58,863 was the low that we got on Bitcoin. And then we bounced off of that. So that's looking pretty good right now. Is this going to be the end of it? Is that the last of the pullback? I don't know. I don't think anybody really knows. I still think we might come back down and retest the 57,000 mark. If not, then we might be setting ourselves up for a nice maybe rally up here, which normally would be the October, right? But now it seems like it's a down October. So Bitcoin finished out the day at approximately just being down 0.49%, 0.5% roughly. It closed at 60,279. We are up on the new day for Friday a little bit here to 60,435 right now. We're up just 0.26%. So we'll see how Friday goes for us. Also, we had the CPI data today. It was estimates were lower than what they were thought it was going to be. So I wonder if that contributed to Bitcoin. The markets were also down today as well. But that's kind of what we have here on that one. Miners, for the most part, were down today. A couple of exceptions to that was BitTier was up 1.48. Hive was up just 0.34. Hut 8 was up 1.37. And Mawson was up 6.6%. And then Wulf was up 2.8. It was up a little bit higher, but it pulled back down a little bit as well throughout the day, and that was based on the news of them upping their lease agreement and things like that. We'll talk about that in a second here. So that's it on the miners. So the rest of the miners were down just a little bit here for the most part. Nobody was down a lot, except for maybe Argo was down only 4%. Everybody else was down 1%, 2%. Not that bad of a day. The network hash rate, however, did reach a new all-time high here. It looks like on the 7-day average, we got up to a high of 694 exahash. The prior high was at 693. So that has been increasing here. And the 7-day average, if we look at the 30-day average still, we're kind of trading sideways still on that one. We're at 641 exahash right now on the 30-day average. Okay. So that is it for those two things that I wanted to show you guys. And let's take a look at the stories that we do have here. The first one's going to be on Cleanspark. So Cleanspark achieves 30 exahash. One of my concerns earlier in the year, especially once they started reporting that they're buying machines to get to like 50 exahash and being delivered this year, is one, how the heck are they first going to get to 32 exahash this year with everything that they would have to buy all these additional sites and everything else to get to that? How are they going to do that? But they definitely did what they always do. They execute. So this was definitely a nice surprise here that they got to 30 exahash here 3 months before they're supposed to get to 32 exahash, which was their original goal. Now they're looking to get to 37 exahash, potentially even higher than that. But here's what they had to say. The company's hash rate has surged 200% since October 2023 through significant organic growth paired with turnkey acquisitions and the execution of a fleet upgrade, improving efficiency during the same period by nearly 20% and boosting the number of operational machines by 112%. Wow. The efficiency improvement strategy has resulted in increased computing power while consuming less energy and allowing for more hash rate to be generated with fewer machines, which is true, especially as you buy newer machines. Let's see here. The company expects to surpass 37 exahash before the end of the year. So that's why this is where I'm thinking they might get to like close to 40 exahash by the end of the year, potentially. They do have machines to get to 50 exahash by the end of the year if they have the infrastructure in place and place to put them into. And intends to continue its growth to 50 exahash and beyond now in 2025. So what does beyond mean? Could we see them getting to 75, 80 exahash, sometime in 2025, maybe even 100 exahash? Who knows? With Cleanspark, you just never know with them. And I'm sure we're going to probably get some updates for them, what their plans are for the next year, especially since they finished out their fiscal year end here in September. We possibly will get something from them in, I'm guessing maybe late November, maybe, once they report their fiscal year numbers, which are audited, so that always takes longer. but we'll see. That'll be interesting to see where they see themselves growing in 2025 as well. And then additional hash rate is anticipated to come online due to the expected acquisition closing of grid infrastructure this month. So that's good news there. So they're definitely going to reach, I'm guessing, at least 31, 32 exahash by the end of the month here if they close on that grid deal. And then let's see here, reaching 30 exahash positions us as one of the largest Bitcoin miners in the world. We have added more operational hash rate than any other miner in 2024. The results we continue to deliver demonstrate our commitment and ability to scale rapidly with capital efficiency, said Zach Bradford. Yeah, and I can't argue with that. They've done a fantastic job. You could say a tremendous job this year. The stock, however, is still up nicely from where it was just basically a year ago in comparison, but it has been lagging here recently, as a lot of the miners have been as well. So it is what it is. It's where Bitcoin is right now. Bitcoin's kind of in this accumulation phase right now. We're hoping that it finishes up the accumulation phase here in like the next week or so, because we need a nice October here and then possibly a nice up November. But we'll see on that one. Okay, so great job by Cleanspark and the team there. Definitely proved everybody wrong here. There were a lot of people that were saying that possibly Cleanspark might have the hardest time getting to their 32 exahash this year. It looks like they're going to actually beat that and then some. So fantastic job by them. Okay, next here is TeraWulf. So TeraWulf enters into a long-term ground lease at Lake Mariner facility to attract high-quality customers. Okay, we've known that there's been a lot of hype around TeraWulf and the HPC possibility there. Hasn't really turned into anything yet. And this is for the shows, I think, that they are still trying to attract somebody there. Because, well, I'll give you guys my thoughts at the end of this, but we'll get into that. But here's what they had to say. So the new ground lease with Somerset Operating Company, LLC, replaces the original Lake Mariner lease with which was entered into May 2021 and had 10 years remaining. The new ground lease has a term of 35 years with an option to extend for an additional 45 years. So you're looking at a possibility of roughly, doing my math here in the fly here, 90 years, right? Or, 80 years. 35, and then add 5, so you're 50 plus, 80 years. And increase the Lake Mariner land area by nearly 50%, expanding from 107 acres to 157 acres. Importantly, the new ground lease includes no escalation in annual lease payments on a per-acre basis when compared to the original Lake Mariner lease, and also grants TeraWulf exclusive access to infrastructure capacity of up to 750 megawatts, facilitating the company's future growth plans and value creation initiatives. Okay, so that's great there. Okay, continuing on here. The new ground lease was negotiated and approved by the audit committee of the company's board of directors, which is comprised of 3 independent directors. The committee consulted independent legal counsel and the company's financial advisor, as Somerset is owned by the company's chief executive officer, so that's Paul Prager there. The committee received an option from the company's financial advisor that the consideration to be received by the company is fair from a financial point of view to the company. Okay, so Paul owns that Somerset company there, Somerset Operating Company, and basically TeraWulf is getting the lease from them. So Paul's company is getting the shares and the cash there. The consideration paid to Somerset's parent company in exchange for Somerset's termination of the original lease and entering into a new ground lease is compromised. Okay, question mark there on that one. Why are they paying a termination fee? I'm guessing if they're just improving the deal. But I don't know. I'm not a legal expert on this, but I would think that, I'll just leave it at that. A little surprised by the termination possibly fee being in there. Entering is comprised of 20 million shares of TeraWulf. So today's value of TeraWulf was where? Where was TeraWulf? TeraWulf was finished out the day. Well, before then it was up. Let's see here. Wolf started the day out at around 382, so 20 million on top of that. That's roughly, 70-some million here, roughly. Plus an additional 12 million in cash. Under the terms of the new lease, Somerset's parent company will be prohibited from selling 15 million shares for 18 months and the remaining 5 million shares for 12 months. So in 12 months, they can sell 5 million shares of that, depending on what that's actually worth. The primary equity-based structure of the consideration further aligns the interests of TeraWulf's chief executive officer with the long-term financial and operational goals of the company and its shareholders. Okay, in a sense, yes, I will agree with that. Him getting shares for that, yeah, okay, that kind of does align him. But my big question here is on this one is, if they're looking to attract high quality customers, as Paul Prager owns Somerset Operating Company, TeraWulf in that regard also knows that they have the optionality to improve the lease agreement going forward. It's not like they had to execute on this right away. They could have, kept this kind of in their pocket a little bit, or even talked to it with their customers, potential customers there that needed more power, whatever it was, more space, that they do have the option there. And then once you get a customer for that, then you pull on this deal along with it, and you announce this deal, and you announce also a customer that you have there. But they didn't do that. So that makes me think that either they're looking for a buyout, maybe, for somebody that would actually buy this stuff out. But I don't know how. That's the other part I'm thinking about is, who would want to buy that out having a lease agreement? I think usually what large companies want to do is buy out the facilities and everything else. So I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on this one a little bit as far as where they could go with it. But I guess my short answer is I think they could have held off a little bit on this type of deal. They did close another deal, what was it, last week, where they sold a portion of their Nautilus facility and got 90 million for that. But it seems like they went from that to this relatively quickly to me. But that's just my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think of it. All right, so that's it for that one. We'll see how this works out for them going forward. And then let's take a look at the institutions here. How did those change over the last 6 months, and actually last month in particular? Okay, so the first one we're going to take a look at is the 6 months difference from in September. I pulled in all the numbers for all these guys here, and we can see here that out of all of these guys here, Core has had the most institutions increase, 210 institutions in the last 12 months. Number of shares have also increased tremendously for them. 123.9 million is now percentage owned by the company also increased. 45.9. So we're looking at where were they back then and where were they, where were they 6 months ago and where are they now? And these are the differences between those two. So we also had 8 increases in strong buy rating for them, 1 increase in buy rating, and then we had 1 hold go out, 1 negative or 1 less. So somebody switched out of that. And then the price target went up by 1150, average went up by 1160, and the low went up by 1250. 24 weeks ago, the price was at 346. Latest price, 1197. It's up $8.51, a 245% increase in the stock price. That is definitely the best performer here out of the bunch here, it looks like. Okay, going over here, next is IREN. IREN improved by 84 with 57 million shares. You guys can look at everything else. I'm not going to go through all these guys. But you can definitely see the figures, how that all shapes up here. TeraWulf was up 109 in institutions, HUD 8 and 68, Cypher 48, Hive 0, Cleanspark 88, also pretty high there. BitDigital only 7. That was a little bit surprising there. Bitfarms 28, BitDeer 33, Riot 11, Marathon, huge increase 92 as well, right? That was just behind TeraWulf there. And then the shares increased was pretty large also in TeraWulf, 103 million, followed by, who else was there? Marathon 16 million, Cypher 56 million as well. And yeah, but you guys can take a look at the rest of the stuff. I'm not going to go through it. I'm not going to bore you guys and waste your time. Looking at the last month over month numbers here. So HUD 8 actually had 2 institutions increase. Hive had 0, Cypher had 2, BitDigital had 0, TeraWulf had 2, Core had 6, Bitfarms had 0, Riot had 1, BitDeer had 1, Iris had 3 increase, Marathon 3, and Cleanspark 1. But when we look at the number of shares here, we can see that HUD actually lost number of shares that were basically, they have more institutions selling than buying. So we had a decrease of 610,000 shares. Hive had an increase of 100,000. Cypher had a decrease of almost 8 million here. BitDigital an increase of 150,000. TeraWulf 190,000. Core 80,000. Bitfarms just 2,000 increase. Riot was down 10,000 shares. BitDeer up 20,000 shares. Iris up also 110,000. Marathon down 590,000. And Cleanspark was down 320,000 shares at that time as well. Okay. Price difference month over month here. It looks like it was, let's see here. HUD 8 was up 5%. Hive was down 3.2%. Cypher up 18%. BitDigital up 9%. Then we got TeraWulf up down 11% actually. Core up 20%. Bitfarms down 12%. Riot up 9%. BitDeer up 9%. Iris down 2%. Marathon down 3%. Cleanspark down 6%. And then here's how that all stacks up. So here's the percentage stock price change over the last 6 months. CORZ, right? Huge gains here. Look at the number of institutions or shares being bought up. huge number as well. TeraWulf, same thing, really good growth, 57%. And we got 103%, or 103 million shares being increased. So the institutions, we're kind of driving those guys here. Who else had really good gains here? Iris was 41%, 57 million additional, right? Marathon, on the other hand here, 16 million shares being added, but the stock was down 20% from 6 months ago. So, yeah, on that one, looking at the month-over-month stuff, we can see here that Cypher price actually increased, but their shares were down. Who else? Here, Core was up 20, 80,000. Yeah, so we're kind of seeing the same thing. So it looks like institutions are slowing their buying spree. On the miners here in the last month, we're not seeing those huge gains here that we have seen in the past. And I think that would kind of signal the fact that they're anticipating a growth in Bitcoin price as well, kind of like we are waiting for October. So that's the sense that I'm kind of getting. I wonder if you guys are getting the same kind of sense on that as well. But that is it. You know, we look through all this stuff here. I don't want to bore you guys with all this. You guys can take a look at it. Pause the play of this, and you guys can take a look at all the numbers here. But it is kind of interesting to see how that has been playing out here on it. One thing that we might want to take a look at going forward is when do the institutions start selling out also, right? Just so that we don't let ourselves be bag holders again. If we start seeing that the institutions are selling out at some point out of the miners, that might be a time for us to also start to kind of pull out of our positions as well a little bit. So we'll keep an eye on this, especially when things get a little hot with Bitcoin. All right, but that's it. As always, Patreon members have access to this. Spreadsheet link for that is down in the description, $8 a month. $4 or $5 spots might be still open, and that gives you everything that you see here, plus more Discord server, all that stuff. All right, that's my little sales pitch. You guys know that by now. Let's get into the Q&A side of things here. I want to see what you guys have to say on things, and then we'll call it a day. All right, let's see here. Okay. All right, let me go up top. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, trying to catch up with some comments. Okay, let's see. Mark says, double bottom this week. Wow, that is really small. Let me fix that. Alrighty, there we go. Okay, that's looking a little bit better. Why was that so small? Okay, double bottom for this week. We lock in 60 at the end of the week, and we will test 65, 70,000 next 2 weeks. That would be great. Okay. What else we got here? Mark says also, so TeraWulf is diluting again. Yeah, it looks like it. Looks like they're giving shares to their CEO there. Well, that's the CEO's company there. Okay. What was the answer to your poll? I was not able to make the stream last night. Who had the most growth? Cleanspark and someone, I'm assuming. No, it wasn't actually Cleanspark. It was Bitfarms and Riot actually had better revenue in Q3 than they did in Q2. Hold on, bear with me here for a second. I'm going to do something really quick. Let's just do none. Okay, because that flying is starting to bug me here with the comments. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we talked about that. Seb, so do you still think Bitcoin will be 74 by the end of this month? We'll keep asking you this question every week. I still think so. I think we still could have a nice rally here in the last 2 weeks. Actually, we got a little bit more than that, I think. But I still think that would be the case. Probably, I think 74 would be top, maybe around 70, but I think we might get a nice rally. If that doesn't happen and we don't have an October and we don't have a nice November as well, then this is going to be definitely a different cycle for us. And we'll be evaluating things at that point. Let's see. Eddie says Bitcoin used to do a 10-to-1 split. 62,000 price is too intimidating for new investors. Yeah, if it could only do that, yeah, then you would have it at 6,000 instead of 62,000. But it can't do that. Look at Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway was valued at 1 point over 100,000 or something per share. Okay. Joe Dog says, that's good because I'm nervous about Bitfarms earnings. I feel might see $1.50, but I don't know. Bitfarms, I don't think it's going to go down that much more unless Bitcoin holds steady here or goes down a little bit more. Maybe then we might see $1.50. Let's see here. Corwando added to Cleanspark and IREN today, done adding to Bitfarms at 26,000 shares. Seems little interest from institutions for them. And not only for them, but also for other companies as well. But I was looking to buy. I was thinking about buying today, but I was going to hold off until actually tomorrow. So I may buy a little bit more. Okay. Nixon asks, will you DCA if average cost $12 for Cleanspark? Would I? I did. I bought more Monday, Tuesday of Cleanspark, Iris Energy, and Bitfarms also at that time. And I will probably buy more if we have if the prices stay pretty low. If they're around the $9 range for Cleanspark, I'm going to be buying as much as I can of it. Okay, let's see. Bevneat, my average for IREN is 810. Should I buy more at current price or buy Cleanspark at current price to start my position? Let's see. You got IREN at 810. That's your average. Where's IREN right now? IREN is right now at 733. And I mean, if you're starting a position in Cleanspark, that might not be a bad idea also. It's pretty low where I think it from where it really should be. So that's a tough one. I don't know how many shares you have of IREN. And if you're going to start a position in Cleanspark right now, would be probably a good time to do it too. Okay. Overall, are these institutions buying less miners these last months, or they're buying less? If we look at the data again here, we can possibly look at individual miners here if you guys want to see what the buying has been like, or where the shares have been on them. But here's the breakdown over last month. You're seeing a lot less buying. You're also seeing some selling, right? Like in Cypher, like in Marathon, Cleanspark, Hut 8 as well. You saw some selling Riot as well. And then some of the other ones are getting just a little bit here. 190,000 shares, 150,000 shares, 80,000 shares. Bitfarms only 2,000 shares, right? We didn't get a change in institutions in that one, along with Bit Digital and Hive as well. So yeah, they're starting to buy less, it seems like. We're not seeing that huge gain that we've seen here over the last 6 months. I mean, even right from where we were 6 months ago, we've seen a huge increase in the number of institutions and everything else for a lot of these companies, except for it looks like Hive. There was 0 institutions change on that one. Okay. Okay. Let's see. IREN's new report states they have new customer lined up for HPC. Do you think there are any great value for them short term or longer term? Depending on the customer and how they could have a customer, but is the customer going to be there for 3 months, 5 months? Is it going to be a year? That's all what we really need to see. And that will help us judge them as far as where they go, right? Because they have had customers in there before where they were only a couple months, 3 to 6 months, and then they move on. So we don't want to see that. We want to see a customer that possibly is there for a little bit longer time frame. Let's see. Patrick says, today bought little BTC and Bitfarms now having 5,000 BTC, or 5 BTC and 60,000. Oh, wow, nice. Let's see how Q4 and Q1 25 goes. Yeah. You got me beat on both of those as far as the number of each. So very nice job. What's your prediction, Seb? Is BTC going to finish the month lower than 57K, higher than 65, or somewhere in the... And I still think we're going to be higher than 65. I think we're going to be possibly even higher than 70,000, possibly. All we need is like 1 or 2 days where we're up 5 to 7% on Bitcoin. We've seen that before. We've seen Bitcoin actually go up like 10% before, at least in prior cycles. But this time I'm guessing if we get to see like a 5 to 7%, if we see a 5%, let's just take a look at it here. Oh, where do I want to go? I want to go here. Okay, so here's the chart of Bitcoin. Where we are here, all we need to get to 70,000 or like 75,000 is for Bitcoin to go up approximately, there's 20% or so. Right, is that going to be it? Roughly, I can't go up that much higher, but we're looking at like 20% gains. So we need a couple of days of 4 or 5% gains, and we're going to be there. And it doesn't take that much, and we still have, basically, how many more days do we have? We have 20 trading days left. So I still think it's still possible, but we'll see. I keep saying that if we don't see like newer all-time highs here in like October or November, then this is going to be a different cycle altogether. Because if we look here, historically, we've had really good September or October, pretty good November for the most part as well, right? More green than we had red. So I'm expecting us to do pretty well here, but we'll see. And if we don't have that, then the theory of mine where we might have an extended cycle might actually play out. Time will tell. Unfortunately, nobody has a crystal ball. Okay, let's see. Would you be worried if the bull run, about the bull run, if we close October around 60, 63,000? Yeah, I'd start to get a little bit worried. We would need to have a really nice November then. If we don't have a nice November, then I'm really worried at that point. Let's see. Do you think investors are waiting for after the election? Seems like every time results after election, Bitcoin tends to do better. Can't see why it won't go up, especially institutional demand. Yeah, I mean, historically, if you look at the prior cycles where Bitcoin was at, it was usually going up in October, November, even regardless of the election. I think we're putting too much emphasis on this election thing, right? Bitcoin's not a U.S. only thing. It's a worldwide thing. Okay. Brad says, I didn't catch what you said about Cleanspark getting to 40 exahash by year's end. Could you briefly say your thoughts on it again? Yeah, they're targeting now 37 plus, right? They said above or beyond 37 exahash. So I think they have miners in place that are being delivered to get to possibly 50 exahash by the end of the year. They just don't have the infrastructure in place. If they can get the infrastructure, they could get to like 40 exahash by the end of the year, if not even more, maybe even 50 exahash. They might surprise us. Okay. Also, at some point, institutions can't hold down price down for longer and try to manipulate because of supply shock. Well, that, and they also, they need to show returns or show gains for their investors also. So at a certain point, they're going to let it rip. So what is the game plan? If October doesn't go above 60, do you still think it will peak October 2025? October this month here is going to be, I think, a tell. But we also need to see what November is going to be like. If in November we're still at like 60,000, then this is a different cycle. At that point, I think we're going to go up slower, longer, meaning it won't peak in 2025 in October. It will probably peak in like 2027 in October, somewhere around there. Might be at that point at 200,000 or something like that. So that's something we got to keep an eye on. Okay. Thanks, Sept. Do you know if previous cycles, the amount of miners shares institutions bought are like this cycle? I mean, if the cycle is following the same patterns from previous cycles. That data I don't have. So I didn't start tracking the institutions until, I think it was, when did I start tracking that? About a year and a half to 2 years ago, maybe? So that was already after the cycle, so I don't know. Let's see. Please explain more of what we could expect with an extended cycle. If that happens, then what do we do? Yeah, at that point, I don't know what we would do, but I told you what the extended cycle could look like, where we go up, we don't have a parabolic rise like we've had in the past. Within 12 to 18 months after Bitcoin's halving event, we could go out to like 2027 possibly, with Bitcoin going to maybe 70,000 by the end of the year here. We go to like, maybe 100,000 by the end of 2025. Then in 2026, we go to like 150,000. And then 2027, we might get to like 200,000, something like that. So that would be an extended cycle, in my opinion. At that point, that's going to be really tough on the miners, I think, especially the miners that are growing a lot, and we're seeing a lot of hash rate being added in. Plus, we have more ASICs coming online that are more efficient. So there's always that drive to get the more efficient machines, better machines, decrease costs. So it's going to be tough on them. I don't know how they will react. I mean, right now, Bitcoin's going sideways. We need the pumps for the miners. So we'll see. Okay, where was I at? Okay, Brad says, thanks again, Sept, for being so dedicated here and always finding quality info for us. Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. Okay. If BTC actually stayed around 60 until November, would you start selling? I am still up on Cleanspark, CORZ, IREN, and Bitfarms. IREN a little bit, Bitfarms more so. I may start, depending where things are. If November, we're not closer to like 80, some 90,000 by the end of November, yeah, I'm going to be tempted, to be honest with you guys. I may sell, maybe not all of it, but I may sell a portion of it. Okay, covered that one. Let's see, if Bitcoin peaks October 2027, I'll be happy. I'm always stressing for not owning enough assets, so it will definitely allow us to accumulate more. Yes, but you might be accumulating, but we might not see that price appreciation that we're waiting on the miners, because you need that parabolic rise in order for the miners to be then extremely profitable with Bitcoin at like 75-80% profit margin. And if we don't get that, they're going to stay at these low profit margins, where downward hash price stays around $40, $50. That's going to make it, they can survive, but it's going to be tough, right? And some of the ones, and we might see even more consolidation in the industry at that point as well, because some of the less efficient miners and things like that will have a really hard time. Okay. What is the price prediction for Bitfarms, Cleanspark, IREN, Hive, and Digital One? BTC is at 100, 150,000, 180,000. Okay, so at 100,000, we're looking at, what is that going to be, roughly 50% increase in Bitcoin. At that point, I would think the miner should be at least 3x. 150, you're looking at more of a 2x, so at that point, it should be closer to like 5x. 180, somewhere maybe north of 5x, 6x, 7x, something like that, potentially. How confident are you on your year-end Bitcoin value on Miner Madness? Today, not very confident on it. My numbers were based on the math of Bitcoin cycles in the past and where we could possibly get to this time. My guess was around 113,000. Right now, we would need basically a 2x on it, on Bitcoin to go up there. It has done that in the past within a short period of time. Will it do it this time? That's a question mark. Let's see, Roger says, Benjamin Cohen also said last bull run was extending cycle turned out to be full bear market. Okay, yeah, I hope it is. That's what I'm hoping, but I'm just saying that unless things really change and maybe the institutions are really messing with us where we're going by the previous cycles and they're going to drive us out by the end of the year and then next year they're going to pump it. Who knows, right? We're in their playground right now. Where's the value of miners that don't hold BTC coming from? For example, IREN, how is the value evaluated? So it's evaluated based on their hash rate growth. Where will they be? Where could Bitcoin possibly be on that? And they're not getting the premium on top of the HODL, possibly. Okay. Well, with Bitcoin's BTC ETFs available now, do you think this could change the cycle for the miners? It already has changed it, right? We already saw Bitcoin reach a new all-time high before the halving event. That has never happened. So it is already a somewhat different cycle. So something to remember. Let's see. If Bitcoin drops to $1.50, will you be selling all your shares? No. If it drops here within like the next couple of days, definitely not. If Bitcoin doesn't go anywhere this month, we'll have to reevaluate things. Okay. Can you, let me see, where's the pop up? There we go. Can you explain transaction fees and how miners get them? Also, don't miners expect to be profitable by said fees in the future? Yes, the expectation is that they would have more transaction fees than they would have on the rewards. So Bitcoin transaction fees, anytime you transact on the network, right, you transfer Bitcoin from one wallet to another wallet, whatever it might be, you're going to be paying that transaction fee there. That transaction fee is based on supply and demand of the network, basically. So if there's a lot of demand for it, the fees are going to go up much higher. If there's not a lot of demand, the fees are going to be much lower. And then the miners will get basically a portion of that. If they're on a pool, they're going to share that with everybody. So whatever that block reward was, let's say block reward is 3.125 BTC, and then you had like a half a BTC of rewards in there, right? So in that pool, they will share that with everybody. So the only one that doesn't have doesn't use a shared pool is Marathon. Marathon has their own pool, so they would get all of that. Okay, so I hope that can make sense. Okay, me allocating 20-30% of port to miners just makes me think I'm setting my profit taking much lower next time around. Holding them is a lot of uncertainty. Yeah, you don't want to hold them for a long time. There's a time to be buying these guys, and there's a time to be selling based on historical cycles. Okay. What is your prediction for the miners if we do have a different cycle where prices of Bitcoin grinds up slowly but surely? I believe it would be more pros because the miners can grow while BTC going up. Well, that's the hard part. We need Bitcoin to go up on these parabolic rises like we've seen in the past where the miners are a lot more profitable at that point. With Bitcoin grinding up slowly, that's going to keep the hash price down, subdued, basically in the 40s or $50 per petahash, which is not good for the miners. They need it to be higher in order to use that money to then grow possibly for future growth. Right now, if that's the case, we're going to be possibly diluting the The only thing that's going to really save them maybe is the Bitcoin hodl. If they have that and Bitcoin goes up slowly over time, they can possibly reap the rewards on that. But they're going to still have to basically buy new machines. Maybe it might even slow down the network hash rate growth at that point, because there's just not that benefit to get these kind of major runs. Maybe. I mean, that would be one thing to also consider as well. Okay. Joe Dog says, next time I'm getting MicroStrategy and MSTY. It's been paying me dividends for holding MSTY up $2 monthly a share. Nice. Yeah, that's another way to do it. Bitcoin seems to be about interest rates and economic outlook. Good data equals Bitcoin up. Jobs data equals CPI like today equals Bitcoin down. Yeah, but that's being driven by retail and institutions as well. Those guys get scared on it, and that's what happens. Do you think any other miner other than IREN is profitable at current Bitcoin prices? Yes, I believe there's going to be quite a few. IREN, Cleanspark should be profitable. Bitfarms, I'm also believing that they should be. Hive, I don't know about Hut 8. Cypher has really good cost. TeraWulf, and then possibly Riot as well, because Riot's gotten power credits. So that's if you look at cash, right? If you look at cash costs, I think they should be profitable. But then once you tack onto it the, share-based compensation, you add on the, I can never remember this word. The miners that they have there, they have to write them off, right? The whatever the word is there, but you guys know. So that all tax onto it, and that's where they become unprofitable at that point. But it's not cash-based, I guess. In 2020, didn't Bitcoin drop down by a lot, then went back up in months later in 2021? You don't think this drop is happening now? Let's take a look at it. Let's see. Where do I want to go? I want to go over here and over here. So let's go back to 2021. So here's the halving that we had here this year. Let's go back. This is going back to 2020. Yep. Okay. So let's see. This is 2020, and you said this was in. When was it in? Well, where's the question here? 2021. Let's see. Then went back up in months later in 2021. In 2020, didn't Bitcoin drop? Okay, so 2020 did Bitcoin drop in 2020? All right. Let's go back here. So in 2020, from the halving event, did we drop in price? Yes, we dropped in price. This was back in after, looks like January, we dropped in price. We went back up. Okay, so let's zoom in on that a little bit. Let's see what happened here. Let's analyze that. Okay, there we go. Where's the halving? Okay, so there's the halving event, right? This was back in May. We had ours in April this time around. What did Bitcoin do? Go sideways pretty much. Went up a little bit here, went back down, went sideways for a number of times. And then in October, right, October 8th, which was a Thursday, it started to kind of go back up here. You can see it happening here. So it was going up through October into November, and it went up. How much did it go up at that point? Let's see here. So October, right around here, we went up from there. Where's November through the end of November? Okay, there's December. So we went up 83% in 2 months, basically. At that point, we did come down here a little bit. We went up, we went back down, and then we went on a huge rally here. From here to the top, or not really the top, we went 132% to approximately 41,000. We came back down, right? We had a nice drop here where I think it was needed because we were just overbought at that point. But we went down approximately 30%. From there, we went up roughly 90%, 95%, almost 100% there to 60,000. And then we kind of went down, up, down, and then we had a double top here in 2021, right, where we went up to 69,000. This was the China FUD over here, along with Tesla not accepting any more Bitcoins because of their fears of pollution because of Bitcoin mining and all that stuff. So that's what happened there. If it wasn't for this, I think we might have gotten close to 100,000, but this took out some of the strength out of us. And the only miner that actually recouped from here, that did a double top as well, was Marathon. Everybody else peaked a couple of weeks before this top here, and then it never recovered really after that. So that was kind of interesting also to note. Okay, let's go back here. So it didn't look like it really dropped in 2020. It dropped a little bit at times, but it continued going up. Okay, let's see. Rex and X believes the cycles are over and we're just following to supply and we're about to have a multi-year melt up. Okay, there's always other theories out there. Okay, I hear a lot of people are saying the bull run will start only after the U.S. elections. No, historically that didn't really matter. Okay, Para says, I keep adding to my Bitfarms and IREN on a weekly basis here, Seb. Sentiment reminds me of January 2023. Okay, yeah. A lot of doom and gloomers. But that's great that you're buying. I've been buying more too. Let's see which miners will have the best Q4 earnings when BTC do run going through 2025. So the ones that hodl will have an advantage there. Marathon has a huge hodl, followed by Riot, Hive potentially as well, Cleanspark, and then ones that have also a lot of growth. So Cleanspark potentially is going to be generating a lot of Bitcoin at that point as well. So will Marathon possibly, IREN, Riot, and Bitfarms, if they get to 21 exahash by the end of the year, will also be beneficial to them. Andrew says, every single stream, Sebastian repeats himself by saying, we should be going up from here. We should be. At some point, you have to admit the tide is coming. This is turning into a Hopium support counseling group. I am your leader. I welcome you guys here to the support group. I'm kidding. We're going back based on previous cycles. And if it doesn't work out to be the same cycle, then it's a different cycle altogether. Then we got to reevaluate things. Nobody has a crystal ball here. I'm buying based on the simple fact of what happened previous cycles. Could I be wrong on it? Sure, I could be definitely wrong on it. As well, a lot of other people will be, right? Let's see. Sorry, I mentioned the 2021 drop and back up to 2022. Well, it was back up in 2021 as well. But the drop that we had there was based on China banning Bitcoin mining, right? Along with Tesla no longer accepting Bitcoin. Okay. You just say it's starting to feel like we're throwing good money after bad. Exponential increase in stock price is still falling. This is, where people are fearful. This is where you want to be greedy. And then when people are greedy, that's where you want to be fearful. That's kind of worked out in the past. How much Bitcoin does BlackRock have? Peak only happens when big institutions buy Bitcoin in a pump and dump scheme. No, not always that. You also need retail FOMO at that point as well. Let's see. Miners will start pumping in the cycle. Yes, they should. Once Bitcoin starts going up. Why is Hut 8 so bad? I've talked about this at ADM in the past. They're not growing their self-mining hash rate. They're more concentrated about managed hosting or managed services and hosting instead of growing their own hash rate. That's kind of why they are where they are. When will miners start this cycle? They should be starting like right now, right around this, possibly next week is when we've seen it historically. Okay. Eddie says, I can't wait to wake up on a random Wednesday morning and check my phone and see Bitcoin goes up 30% and IREN is up 50% in one day. Hopium. That's Hopium. Bitcoin, I don't think we're going to see Bitcoin run 10% that much this year. I think we're going to see maybe 5-7% at most. But all we really need is just a couple of days. Okay, and I think I've caught up to all your guys' questions here. So let's see, we've been going close to about an hour here. Gary says, the way things are going, the winner of Miner Madness is going to be the person with the smallest losses. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm on my position right now is 168th in the rankings. I'm way down on it. And the person that's winning is up like 1% or something, 1 point something. So we're still early in on this. I think we still have a couple more months where we can make up all of our losses here. But yeah. All right, Eddie, have a good night. Thanks for everything you do. You're very welcome. Thanks to everyone here for coming in. Tomorrow, we will not do a live stream unless something really, really important happens. Because it's Friday night and everybody's out enjoying the weekend, celebrating that the week is over with. So unless something really major happens, like I said, we won't do anything. But then we'll look at on Sunday, we'll get back into the swing of things. We'll see where things are at with Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners this past week. and we'll look at anything else that we can find interesting on the miners as far as metrics or things like that. All right. So I wish you guys a wonderful, happy, peaceful, and safe Friday, and a safe weekend, and a great weekend as well. Hope you guys enjoy it. Go out there, touch the grass a little bit, get away from the screens, get away from the Bitcoin price going up and down and everything else like that. Enjoy your life a little bit as well. All right. Jim, thank you so much for the super thanks. I appreciate it. All right, guys. I'll see you guys on Sunday.